Hello and welcome back to the series of soul connections in astrology. This is part 2, and in this video we're going to talk about the sameness in signs and houses. That is something we often find in soul connections. We do have some celebrity examples, and we do have one example of a authentic twin flame connection, and then we're going to talk about the reason why is there this sameness between the signs and the houses. Why do we attract these people who we share the sameness with? So make sure you stay tuned till the end. Well, often soulmates and other divine counterpart connections, they share their sun, moon, and or rising sign. We were talking about this in part 1. If you have missed it, you can go back and check it out after you've finished with this video. But today we're going to talk about the houses. The same energy can show up in another different aspect than having a shared sun, moon, or rising sign. And this other aspect is the energy of one planet being in one person's sign and the other person's related house. I did make a list of the related signs and houses, and it is exactly the way the zodiac signs are in a row. You know, like it begins with Aries, you know that probably. Then the second house is Taurus. Then we have Gemini and Cancer, Leo, Virgo. You can see all of that. It is the exact placement or order. Then it naturally is in the zodiac, ending with Pisces. That is related to the 12th house. We do have an image here as well. We do see Aries over here. This is house 1. So it starts here with this line. This, you could say, is the horizon, the AC, the rising sign. That's why it's called the rising sign, because the moment you were born, this would be the zodiac that is coming up over the horizon in that moment you were born, and that would be your rising sign. But here we do see Aries is connected to Mars and to the first house, Taurus to the second, and everything I was just talking about, ending with Pisces over here in the 12th house. So it is going counterclockwise, starting right here, you would say at 9 o'clock. Some examples of celebrities. Amit is a bit shorter. We do have Brad Pitt, and yeah, he is a Sun and AC Sagittarius. And we do have Angelina Jolie. She's got the moon in Aries, but in the 9th house. So the numbers in the braces in the back, those are the houses that they have their signs in. And Sagittarius is related to the 9th house. However, this is a weak aspect. I wouldn't give too much into it, to be honest, if I were reading their chart, because it is not her sun sign. It would be more if her sun sign would be in the 9th house, in the Sagittarius house, but here it is the sun, his sun and AC in Sagittarius, and her moon, and not her sun sign or her well, the AC can never be in the 9th house. It's starting the first house. We just saw that. Another example, we do have Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. He's got the moon in Taurus in the 4th house, and this is the Cancer house, and she's a Cancer rising. So again, this is a weak aspect, and it is not too strong, but you will find it in some, actually in twin flames you will find it a lot, you know. And then it would be that it would be her moon in Cancer, not her rising sign, and then they would share the energy of one person's moon sign, and the other person has the moon in the connected house. Then here we do have an example. They do have it in the same sign, in Scorpio, and the same house. This is something we don't see too often, that people have their moon in the same sign and the same house. That is one of the reasons why I think that they may be mirror twins. I do have a video on them. You can check it out, because they do share a lot of sameness. But here we do have an example of one person having the same house. However, what we would like is, for example, one person having the moon in Scorpio and the other person will have it in the 8th house. Yeah, this aspect is strongest when it's one person's specific planet, the other person's according house. I have to say, of the notes I did find a celebrity couple that had this. I know that we did talk about this in some of the videos where we had some matching houses. You will find that sometimes, but not as often as you found the aspect we were talking about in video 1. But again, it could be, for example, one person's sun is in Leo and the other person has the sun in the 5th house, which is connected to Leo. Yeah, so we find additional similar energy. This, again, I wouldn't read too much into it if this is like the only thing you have in common. You still could be other aspects we're going to talk about in following videos, but here we do see if they have like even more energy that is somewhat in common when it's connected to houses as well. And yeah, again, I just mentioned it is not as strong as the aspect we were talked about in part 1 of the series, but it can give you additional information. And yeah, the divine counterparts will share many of those traits. So in this series, you're going to talk about many different aspects, and the closer the soul connection is, the more of these aspects you will actually share. And even though now we are just talking about the sun, the moon, and the rising sign, and you can apply this to all. For example, like Mercury, Venus, and Mars. One example could be one person has Mercury in Gemini, and the other person has Mercury in the 3rd house that is connected to Gemini energy, or one person has the Venus in Taurus and the other person in the 2nd house that is connected to Taurus. Something like that you will find a lot. But as always, sun, moon, and rising sign are our most strongest energy. So this is what I mainly focus on when we talk about high soul connections. Especially in video part 1, I focus on these 3 aspects. But in this part 2, you could also check out the other personal placements. Yeah, a true monadic twin flame connection will have all personal planets and the most generational planets somehow being connected. You know, I was talking about this in my long divine counterpart video, and I'm going to break it down in several small videos that are going to come in the future. And we do have an example coming up, but again, twin flames will have many yin yang energy additionally, and I'm going to talk about this. So subscribe so you won't miss it. Yeah, and if you have already gotten some value out of this content, subscribe, like, hit the bell icon so you won't miss future content. I am specialized on divine counterpart astrology, and I want to teach you as much as possible so you can figure out what the hell you're dealing with, because that can be a bit unnerving, can it be? It can be a bit complicated. But let's get to the next step. We have one example of a monadic twin flame connection, and we have 2 people here. We have, here I colored those. We do have one person as the sun in Virgo in the 5th house, the moon in Aquarius, the 10th house, AC Gemini. Person B has the sun in Gemini in the 11th house, the moon in Capricorn in the 6th house, and Leo. Here I colored them, and you already see the houses. Gemini is connected to the 3rd house, Leo is to the 5th house. We also see a 5 popping up here. Virgo is the 6th house. You already see a 6 over here. Capricorn 10th house, there is a 10 over here. And Aquarius, the 11th house, is over here. So we do have it here, one person moon in Aquarius in the 10th house, and Aquarius is connected to the 11th house. Here we see the 11, and it looks like this. Person A would be a Gemini rising, and person B a Gemini sun, and the sun would be in the 11th house, which is the house of Aquarius. And the next person, the first person, would have the moon in Aquarius, but in the 10th house, which is the house of Capricorn. And then the next person, person B, has the moon in Capricorn, and it's in the 6th house, which is the Virgo house. Then person A has a Virgo sun and in the 5th house in Leo, and then person B is a Leo rising. So you see Gemini, Gemini, Aquarius, Aquarius, Capricorn, Capricorn, Virgo, Virgo, Leo rising, and here we have 5th house Leo. So it's all connected. And yeah, they're all connected through signs and houses. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to focus on divine counterpart astrology, because everything I found out there was way too shallow. People are neglecting houses, and houses are so important. It's don't just focus on signs. Astrology it's way too shallow. Astrology, especially in divine counterpart connections, houses are important, asteroids are important. Again, subscribe, you're going to talk about asteroids in the future. Then there's connections in your synastry we're going to talk about. I already did a video on that about fated connections, you can check it out. And there's so many aspects that are relevant for divine counterpart connections, and people just completely neglect houses, which is damaging in my opinion. But yeah, we were just talking about, and this is just the rising sign, the sun and the moon, and you can imagine an authentic twin flame connection has everything somehow connected, not just those three. And yeah, in some shape and form they are all connected. And the high vibrational, the connection, by that I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about this in another video as well, and I already did talk about this in my long video about different kind of divine counterparts, where we're talking about the splitting of the souls and the monad, the oversoul you could say, and the higher selves that are connected. And the more they're connected on higher dimensionals as well as the lower dimensionals, and by lower dimensional I mean nothing else but like our physical energies, then the more of course they will match. And twin flames, they are connected throughout all levels, when it comes to their highest selves, the highest dimensions, all the way to our 3D dimensions. And it's okay if you don't have this match, it can still be true love. And that is something else, that an assumption I want to clear. Even if it's not a twin flame, it doesn't mean that it's not true love. There's different kind of divine counterpart. A soul twin could be a divine counterpart. A soulmate can be a divine counterpart. A mirror soul, a split twin flame. There's so many different kind of divine counterparts. And true love. True love has many faces. Twin flames are true love, yes. But not every true love is a twin flame. And that is absolutely fine. It's just a blueprint one soul chose in order to ascend, because twin flames, they are about union as well, of course, but they are foremost about the ascension journey. Not every soul chose to have this major awakening ascension journey that can take many years. Some just want to find love and have a peaceful connection, and that would be a different kind of soul connection as well. I mean, twin flames will get there as well once they have been through all of the shadow cleansing. But again, the high vibrational connection, by high vibrational, I don't talk about how big that love is. I'm talking about how high are they connected on higher soul levels. Okay, it can be a true love even if you don't have many aspects that are connected in this aspect we're talking about right now, because you may have amazing synastry that can talk about a beautiful, long-lasting love connection. And in the end, that is what we want, right? It doesn't have to be a twin flame. We just want to feel at home with someone. And I want to talk about different kind of soul connections, because I want to clear the stigma of twin flames, and I want to show you there is so many different kind of connections you can feel at home. And also, and that is something that's bothering me, many people are in toxic relationships and narcissistic relationships, and they call it a twin flame, and that couldn't be further from the truth, because a twin flame is a divine connection, and there is no place for toxicity in a divine connection, naturally. But let's get through the next, I was digressing, I'm sorry, to the next point. The purpose of these similarity when it comes to signs and houses. And to be honest, the purpose is basically the same than we were talking in video 1, but let's repeat it. We feel drawn to people that we feel familiar with, and one person, for example, having the sun in Leo and the other person having the sun in the 5th house, both somehow have that Leo energy, even though the person with the sun in Leo would have it in a different house, and the person with the sun in Leo would have it in a different sign. They still share that core energy in some way, and that of course is evoking a sense of familiarity, and we do feel attracted to people we have this connection with naturally. And yeah, since the sign has a different energy from the related house, the energy is different but still relatable. And that's what we want, right? We don't want everything the same, because when everything is the same, there's not so much space for growth. And we want to grow in connections. Doesn't have to be as traumatic and long lasting as like a twin flame journey, but we still want to grow and evolve in our connections, even if it's like I see like a slow stream in front of me, you know, a peaceful stream, and not like a wild water rafting stream. And the sameness and yet difference, it brings understanding to the potential to grow, and it helps us to understand the energetic archetype from a different angle. And again, in my example, just the archetype was Leo energy, and we do understand it by being confronted with it, but from a different viewpoint, and that can of course enhance our personal understanding and the other person as well, of course. Then we can learn to master this archetype, for example Leo or whatever it is, by being confronted being with another aspect of it. I just said that the sign shows how the energy of the planet is being expressed, and the house shows us more in which area of our life it is being expressed, you know. For example, Leo is talking about being generous and proud, and the fifth house is very similar. It can talk about creative expression, just like Leo energy, and the fifth house can talk about having children and sex, not the eighth house Scorpio sex, but more the playful sex, and Leos have this playful energy, you know, so there is similarity. So having a planet in the sign will have a similar energy to having it in the according house. So people who share the same energy, even through different aspects, will still understand each other intuitively. And that is also something we crave for in connections, isn't it? We want to feel understood, and we also want to understand the other person, because if you are completely different, then that can be just like a mismatch, and you have to work harder to make it work. Can you still make it work? Of course. You just have to put in even more effort. So it is easier if there is already this kind of flow by understanding the energy naturally. So yes, I hope you liked my video, and don't forget to subscribe for more information on this subject. There will be more videos like this. I hope I'll see you in another video. So far, you can check out my other content. I do have a lot of videos, and also don't forget to check out what's popping up right now, the suggestion coming just for you. And I wish you all the best now. Bye bye.